Zangpo.
Kamrimo.
Chajalo.
Namaste.
Hello and welcome to the Sikkim podcast brought to you by Summit Times. We welcome our listeners back to the podcast again after a long break. I think we've been recording like after every 15 days in the recent. Yes, I checked.
The last one was 15 days back?
Yes. No.
Wow.
The one before the last one was 15 days.
Yeah, that was a long break.
So the Diwali is over. Oh, and then let's start the discussion today with the Diwali theme. I'll explain what.
You remember
But
the
first,
sound of bursting firecrackers?
Yes, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Chiring Eden and
Pema Wangshuk.
And so this time, as the Diwali happened to be after the by-polls.
Yeah, lot to celebrate.
Yeah. And maybe
If
that...
you're a Hindu.
Okay, you'll get us killed. But yeah, so... and coincidentally, it's not a coincidence, what am I saying? Like, the ban sort of was lifted and on
for all practical purposes, yeah.
It had been, but I don't remember how long it had been like properly banned, like 2 years.
Maybe more than that. I mean, the ban was there, but actual enforcement and people actually not bursting firecrackers to the extent that they did this year. That's been around for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been kind of very controlled. I mean, people would still burst firecrackers. I mean, it's Diwali.
But it would be very sparse.
It would be sparse, and at least in the town area, it was almost as if they were trying to prove a point.
I know.
It was not about celebrating. It was more about, ye dekho, hum itna pataka padka sakte hain. It was almost, it gave off that kind of a feeling. Maybe I'm just being prejudiced, but...
Yeah, you live in the town area, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I am live a little away from town, so I was spared but I saw on social media a lot of complaints what was happening. So basically
MG Marg. I mean, MG Marg is where the huge celebration took place.
Yeah, let's just first inform our readers about the change in the ban. The government put out a notification saying that it had modified this previous notification as per the Supreme Court judgment in some case where they had said that you can burst firecrackers for a specific period of time on Diwali day.
The Supreme Court judgment was for Diwali, Christmas and New Year.
Okay.
And so out here they said we obey the Supreme Court so much and the laws so much in Sikkim that we're going to relax our ban as well. And then they had this what can only be called an oxymoron, that you can burst green firecrackers at this time. So I don't know what they mean by green firecrackers. I mean, when I first heard the term, I said, like, what does it really mean? I don't
think, I have now kind of realized that there is nothing like green firecrackers. They just mean that in this period when they...
No. There is something known as the green firecracker, which is, I think, slightly more scientifically prepared. It's called green not because it's made from organic stuff, which Sikkim would have loved in the previous regime, I think, organic firecrackers. But it's green because it lets off, I don't know, maybe 30% less pollutants into the air. That makes it a green firecracker.
I'll tell you what a real green firecracker is. There was this video going around, somebody showed it to me, where this guy, he just like, first he'll whistle, he'll go like, and then he was
That's not how you whistle.
No,
anyways.
Something. No, mimicking the sound of a rocket pateka or whatever. Yeah. So, and then he'll just beat something on the ground like prack like that. I don't know, he was beating some like bamboo or I don't know what. So that is what a green firecracker should actually be.
Yeah. In the national context, it was essentially that they will be less polluting. They could have just called them, I don't know, ISI marked firecrackers or something. They called them green firecrackers. I don't think even one single piece of green firecracker was sold in Gangtok. Because I don't know how to recognize a green firecracker. I mean, do they come with a green seal? or what is it? So obviously this was a sellout, cop out,
Mm.
right? They were saying, oh, just burst firecrackers. We want to do everything, we want to undo everything that the previous regime did. So now, since this was a ban imposed by the previous government, we are lifting it. And I don't think anybody even bothered to check the point of sale to see if they were green firecrackers. And I don't really have a problem so much with people bursting firecrackers, right?
No.
I grew up bursting firecrackers. But I think if people had become more, if people were more sensitive
Yeah.
to what others suffer because of firecrackers, it would be nice. Unfortunately, that's not the thing in Sikkim, it seems, or Gangtok at least.
No, because it's been a while since I burst firecrackers also, and I like. So, but this
No, that
year.
could be just because you've grown up.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it
That
because
could-
you're more sensitive?
No, I'm. No, it's not because I'm more sensitive.
Yeah.
It's just I've grown up, and but this
Sikkim
year.
needs to grow up. Is that what you're implying?
So, but this year, like I must admit, I'm not very proud of it. But then my niece was home, and she really wanted. So we just got 2 rocket patekas, and we just lit those 2 rocket patekas, and then there were just few anars and the what do you call it, chakra.
Chakras, yeah.
Thing.
That whistle thing also, I think.
The whistling
Those are the
chakra
common
or
things you
whatever.
get,
So
yeah.
that's all we celebrated with this Diwali. But then after a little while, I just kind of had this hunch. I mean, our dogs were like, I have 3 dogs, so there was nothing really. They were fine, but I just had this hunch, and I just went out to check on one of the dogs, and the other 2 were fine, but one of the dogs was like
Traumatized.
shivering,
Wow.
and I was like, and then as I said, I live away from town, so there was no other. The firecrackers that they
Were distant.
were distant, and we don't really get disturbed. But then I was like, for a moment, I couldn't understand what was happening, and I kind of like, maybe because of the particles, but we hardly burst so many. I mean, just few
Yeah.
firecrackers.
Yeah.
So then after some time, after a few seconds, bichara, he shat also. And I was really wondering what was happening with the dogs here in Gangtok town, bazaar area.
What they
because
must
I've-
have gone through.
What they must have gone through. With just 2 or 3 firecrackers, my dog was
Yeah.
traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite obvious. Like we were discussing also. I mean, dogs have a heightened sense of hearing and smell, scent. Diwali must be madness for them, right?
Yeah.
They can hear a footfall. Like that's to what their ears are primed for, and then you burst firecrackers. Can you imagine what that must sound like to a dog or kids? Or old, I mean, like we've heard this, right? Old people with
Yeah.
breathing difficulties. So I'm not so much of a problem. I don't have so much of a problem with the pollution because in Gangtok that does not stay, right? It kind of blows away the pollution part of it.
How can you
The
see
smoke.
that?
Yeah, there's wind and you're on a hill and all those things. I'm sure in MG Market it was pretty bad. I could smell the firecrackers, yeah, when you were going through town and all that. But the sound is like
Crazy.
just, yeah.
No, it was really, and then there was a lot of, I think.
And the filth you leave behind, yeah.
Yeah, filth is also really bad. Like, कितना साफ करना पड़ता है
Yeah.
next day. There are a lot of discussions to get like
Venting on Facebook.
arguments happening on Facebook.
Yeah. There was this interesting one. What was it? Sikkim Messenger, which claimed that SDF lost because of its ban on firecrackers, and then people took him to town
Yeah.
for that, which is the stupidest statement I've heard in recent times. But
No, and then I saw this. I saw a couple of posts justifying this lifting of ban on firecrackers. It was like, I think what is happening on the national scale also, where the liberals are supposed to be the more elitist, the trying to want to be woke, as they say, and then the right wing is like the real people, supposedly,
yeah,
like
grassroots.
something like that, because I saw some arguments saying that ऐसे तो like you don't do anything for the environment, and suddenly on Diwali you want
Yeah, this
the
water
environment
watery is
friendly.
like
Yeah.
stupid. So forget about liberal or being woke or being sensitive. Let's just throw all of that out of the window. There is a Supreme Court judgment that firecrackers beyond a certain decibel are not allowed. Firecrackers that pollute to a certain extent are not allowed. Hence the term green firecrackers, right? And they've specified a time. So forget about whether you support the idea of firecrackers. I can get into the argument it's traditional. Someone will say, how can it be traditional? Firecrackers were invented in China. You're supporting China by buying firecrackers and all that stuff. We can argue about that, right?
Yeah.
But forget all that. Just go with, since we are such law-abiding citizens, let's go by what the law says. And the law says, as per the government's own notification, it says that between a certain period of time you can burst firecrackers, green firecrackers. So all that should have been done is, okay, then you make sure that only green firecrackers are sold and people abide by the timings. I'm not saying that you start raiding people's homes to stop them from bursting firecrackers, but let's just go with that. वो भी तो नहीं किया ना? This is a cop-out. I'm telling you it's a cop-out. Is the administration saying पिछले सरकार forced us to enforce the ban? This sarkar is telling us to lift the ban. It is not that. It is about just, why can't they just enforce the rules and the laws? Just do that. Just do your job. Don't do chamchagiri. Don't do badla. Right? I mean, let the politicians do that. As far as the administration is concerned, they can just do their job. That seems to be such a tall ask in Sikkim nowadays.
Yep.
To expect
people to just do their jobs.
Just do what you're required to do. Just do that much, right? So Forest Department shows us this great efficiency by issuing a notification saying that congratulations, you can burst firecrackers between these hours, but then they do nothing or coordinate nothing about making sure that these timings are met. And so now you just get prepared for that. Now every time you have something to celebrate, you'll burst firecrackers. And if you don't have a problem with it, fine. But I'm not saying I have a problem with it or I support it. I'm just saying this is the law. Why can't we just enforce the law?
Yeah. And on that note,
we move on to the other celebration.
I think Peppa is very angry right now.
No, I'm just like it gets you, right? When like I can understand politicians taking sides and doing their sycophancy or their character assassinations, right? I can get it, right? I mean that's what they survive on. But when the administration joins the whole game, it just becomes like, then what's left?
That is
the cops, the babus, like everybody is like, kaun sabse bada chamcha?
This is what we right now also I was discussing how everything in Sikkim and like once the government changes, like everything else has to change. The chamchas, the previous government's chamchas will try to be this government's chamchas, or there'll be new chamchas, but everything is like so lopsided. There is no opposition, no, like not just like, I'm not just talking about politics, but just like ideologically also there should be some, like, I mean, just because you are my boss, I cannot say that everything you say is right, no? And then tomorrow,
you sure?
No, and
you were in Sikkim.
No. And tomorrow someone else will be my boss. Again, I will agree to everything that person is saying. Like, there is kuch to, like...
Self-respect.
Yeah, self-respect. Yes. Big need
that
of
would be a
self-respect.
good place to begin.
So, actually, the main topic we're supposed to discuss today is the election results, by-election results. And although much has been discussed, I'm sure, on online platforms elsewhere, we haven't been able to get to that. So, we'll get to that today. And... so let's start with Gangtok.
Why start with Gangtok? I mean, the biggest battle was
sorry.
Poklok Kamrang.
Alright, Poklok Kamrang.
See? You're agreeing with everything I'm saying. And therein lies the problem.
I'm rolling my eyes also, by the way, which I don't think chamchas can do. Anyway, so Poklok Kamrang, the biggest, I don't even know if it is the biggest victory, not an upset.
I think it's the biggest vote share victory in electoral politics in Sikkim. I mean, who's taken like 85% of the votes, you know? It's something like that. So it's huge. And it was surprising. I had expected some fight. I mean, that being SDF's Gad, right? Because the voter turnout was exactly the same as the general election, as the previous election. Just almost exactly the same number of people turned up. let's just presume for a while,
Mm.
there is no way of confirming this, but let's just presume for a while that the same people turned up to vote for the by-elections as well.
Mm.
And within 5 months, they just switched sides so phenomenally.
Yes, so self-respect, though, this is
Ideology. No, that's not self-respect. This is ideological position.
No, I'm saying even that, even the public is, like I was telling you again earlier, that public ही ऐसा है तो फिर सब लोग, I mean,
Yeah,
नेता
it's
भी
very
तो वही
defeatist.
है.
Yeah, it's very I mean, yeah, you expect the ruling party to win, and they have the upper hand, right? Organizationally, administratively, every other way. We saw how the administration was just kind of one of the campaigners in the whole by-election, right? The way they were handling the situation. That is expected. That has happened in the previous regime as well. It's not something that the present government has done. But then you expect some.
Nee, I'll tell you, it is like these awards that happen, these awards that are given away.
Which awards?
I can't name those awards,
Okay.
but there's many awards, I
Yeah.
think, in Sikkim.
Oh,
and
we're
may-
talking Sikkim
outside
still.
also.
Okay. Yeah.
In
Filmfare
Sikkim-
is the same.
Filmfare also, yeah, same. It's like, oh, इस बार अब
Club है.
हाँ, इस बार I mean, इन लोगों को तो दे चुका है. Now, who should we give this
Yeah,
to?
that's a roster system.
A roster system, basically, yeah. So even the politics has become like, even elections have become not politics. Elections have become like roster system. No, इस बार इतना साल कर लिया है. अब now let's give chance to someone else. Forget about ideology or promise, you know, all that. So even in this case, even in this Poklok Kamrang case, it's the same thing, right? Like, not the same thing. What am I saying?
Yeah, the switchover was surprising, huge. I mean, congratulations
How
to
can
the
you-
chief minister on having won
Yeah.
and contested. But it was surprising. It was surprising the way the whole constituency capitulated. That was surprising. I mean, this interview that we ran in our with the former chief minister, where he said that he expected the defeat. I don't think anyone really expects defeat, right? I mean, you might be kind of prepared that this is probably what is going to happen. But even if he was expecting defeat, I don't think he expected at this scale.
At this scale, yeah.
At this scale. Because the other two constituencies, the margins were not that huge. Of course, the candidate and what was at stake and the level of campaigning and everything else was a factor, right? The threats, the open threats that were issued. And let's accept that they were issued, right? And the violence that took place, which also did take place, right? I'm not for one day believing that they threw stones on their own vehicles. So, I mean, all that might have been a factor that could have contributed. It could just have been that people wanted to elect someone from the ruling party. Do you realize that Poklok Kamrang, that constituency, that region, has given another chief minister to Sikkim?
Yeah.
I mean, how privileged are they? They've been giving Sikkim a chief minister for what now, 30 years?
But this is not really, yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, so that, it kind of made you...
But do you think this is like the nail in the coffin for SDF, the Poklok Kamrang defeat?
No, but like I've said earlier as well, the SKM experience, at least lets Sikkim hope. That used to be the case in Sikkim earlier, that if you were voted out of office or if you did not do well in the elections, there would be no comebacks. But SKM did come back.
Yeah.
So, and SKM was in a similarly distressed
But SKM
situation.
had 3 MLAs.
2, technically. Mr. Gole was disqualified.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's about 2. It's not about numbers. It's about projections, right? They did lose the election. SDF did much better than them in the elections they lost, right?
Yeah.
So those are factors. I mean, I hope it's not the final nail on the coffin. You need an opposition. You need an opposition, and no other opposition is even showing signs of filling in the gap that should SDF be removed from the political space of Sikkim. You see anyone else filling that gap?
BJP.
No, BJP is the ruling.
Okay.
Or controlling the ruling, given the way they've been operating, right? So no, BJP is not the opposition. And BJP will never make a very good... Okay, they might make an interesting opposition party because making noise, backing Delhi Delhi backing you, that will be an interesting situation. But BJP is not an opposition party. They're an alliance partner.
But still, there is... I fear that there will be some but some kind of twist and turn coming up in the next 5 years?
Yeah, because you see, I mean, like SKM won Poklok Kamrang and BJP won Martham Rumtek and Gangtok, right? Martham Rumtek very convincingly with an SKM candidate who was on deputation, as their own leaders have been saying. And Gangtok, just because people didn't show up to vote and just because the anti-BJP votes got split, BJP won that, right? So, and almost immediately we see rumblings of all not being so well in the SKM camp when it comes to BJP, right?
Yeah. So before we get to that,
Yeah, all right.
we will discuss the Gangtok by-elections. Gangtok by-elections where
YT lecture.
YT Lepcha from BJP won with 2,942 votes. Against the second position was taken by Mr. Dilip Namgyal Barfungpa with 1,494 votes, which is a difference of 1,000?
Yeah, just about.
No, 3,000 and 1,500. 1,500 votes.
Okay, 1,500 votes, yeah. Actually, yes.
Yeah. So now let's look at the third position was taken by SDF's Rinzingongmo Bhutia with 872 votes. Mr. Bhaichung Bhutia took 578 votes, an improvement from 70 votes in April. And Mr. Kamayantin Chankapar took 451 votes as an independent candidate. And
if you just add these votes,
SRP's ST Lepcha took 149 votes, and if you add all these votes,
so they hit they're 1,000 more than what SKM got.
Yeah,
they add up to about 3,500 times.
So the bottom line being that Gangtok voted against BJP.
Yes, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, majority of the votes went to.
And that's just 50%
candidates.
Of Gangtok's voters actually showed up to vote.
Yeah.
So in a constituency of about 12,000 voters, 11,750, let's say 12,000 voters, right? Gangtok is a constituency of 12,000 voters. The MLA who's going to represent Gangtok has got only 2,500 votes.
That's democracy.
But that's the way I'm not taking anything away from the victory there, but I'm just pointing out some facts, right? That's like we are representing like 15%.
क्या है that some kind of fallacy today only I heard क्या था Plato's sums made this problem with the majority, not majority, electoral, क्या बोलते हैं इसको, democracy बोलते हैं ना, where it's not necessary.
बोलते हैं democracy हमारे देश में अभी तक इसको, yes.
No, where it's not necessary for the majority to win.
Yeah.
Where even people who poll lesser votes,
first past the post. That's the Indian way of things, right? I mean, that's how it is. I mean, like, that's a systemic thing.
There's nothing we can do about that. So let's move on to Martham Rumtek, which is pretty much
sweep
done deal. Like even before the by-polls, I think a lot of people knew that Mr. Venchungpa would win because he had just lost with how many votes? 73 votes in the last April elections from Martham Rumtek. So he won with 8,204 votes. Second position was taken by Mr. Nukchiring Bhutia from SDF with just 2,054 votes. And HSP has been performing well this in the by-poll with 1,235 votes in Martham Rumtek.
Yeah, and
the other interesting candidate from Martham Rumtek was Dr. Michung Bhutia.
Yeah, the former MLA.
SKM MLA who switched over to SDF and then resigned. And then
after the elections,
and he stood as an independent candidate and got 439 votes. Then you had Pasang Sherpa, who had stood for MP elections in the April polls, and this time he stood from Martham Rumtek as an independent candidate and got 272 votes. And MT Sherpa from SRP got 173 votes. And here, even if you add up everyone else, they would never have won against Venchungpa.
So Venchungpa, that was a convincing victory.
Yeah.
What is interesting about returning to the Poklok Kamrang election as well, the postal ballots, the chief minister got 100% of the postal ballots in his favor.
That is what Mr. Chamling was pointing out also.
Yeah, that's
in
how
the
scared
interview.
the administration is.
Yeah, like the government employees.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the postal ballot turnout was. Like how many postal ballots were issued and how many of them actually voted. Because if you are scared, then you'll also make sure that you vote. Because not voting would also be seen as a sign that you don't support
Yep.
either candidate. It'll be interesting to look at.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
study
Yes.
that could be done.
So at the end of the day, after the by-elections, we have SKM at 19. We've got BJP at 12 MLAs, 2 elected and 10 crossed over,
Switchovers, huh?
and 1 SDF.
Yeah.
And for a party that had no presence in Sikkim by way of voter recall, that's a huge.
What happens to?
I mean, there should be some big award given to the state BJP unit, right?
Yeah.
Like from 2% of the vote share, you managed to build it up to 12 seats in a 32-member assembly.
I know.
That's a huge, huge leap. And maybe an award to SKM also for having allowed that to happen. But it'll be interesting to see what the future months hold.
What happens to the Rajya Sabha MP?
The Rajya Sabha MP gets elected when the elections for the Rajya Sabha happen, when his term runs out.
Okay.
Which I think is, there's still some time left.
So
there will be, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Whether Sikkim sends an SKM MP
Or
to the
BJP.
Rajya Sabha or a BJP MP. Because what you got to keep in mind is that although the BJP controls the Lok Sabha, it still doesn't have complete control of the Rajya Sabha, although it controls most of the states. So I think every state where a Rajya Sabha MP is, and they don't end at the same time, right? Rajya Sabha terms, different times it happens. So I think every time a Rajya Sabha seat needs to be filled, BJP will be trying to do it with their own candidate. So I think there will be some interesting negotiations there as well.
BJP होगा because लोक सभा तो अब SKM का candidate है.
Candidate नहीं MP है.
Sorry, MP है तो.
Yeah, we're just speculating there.
So
that depends upon how well the coalition does.
Yeah.
Because the SKM camp is not taking too well to the
Yes.
idea, it seems.
Because after the by-polls, obviously questions started being raised about how is SKM going to treat the 10 SDF MLAs who have switched over to BJP.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like, what was that serial? ये रिश्ता क्या कहलाता है?
क्या है? Don't know.
Like, what is the SKM BJP relationship?
Oh,
Right?
ये रिश्ता. Yes.
So are they like just a seat sharing arrangement, which is what many leaders constantly kept repeating?
Yeah.
And or is it an alliance government that will be that it will lead to eventually?
But right now it's just a seat sharing alliance, right?
It is a seat sharing alliance, which is a unique situation because you normally have seat sharing alliance with the idea being that when you win, you will also be partners in the government that gets
Coalition
formed.
government.
Right.
All right. So coming back.
Because I think BJP thinks that they are partners now in the government.
Okay.
They're an alliance government, which
But
SKM doesn't think.
What SKM said on 25th October. When was the result
Okay.
declared? Same day.
Yeah.
So the day of the results of the by-elections, SKM came out and said that the elected BJP MLAs, the 2 elected BJP MLAs will be in the treasury bench and not the 10 SDF crossovers. And they still have the SDF tag. I don't know what that means anyway. So they said the 10 SDF MLAs still have the tag of SDF. So until that changes, we cannot have them in the treasury bench. So here I would like to ask you, please explain what is a treasury bench.
The treasury is, I think it draws its name from the fact that the people who prepare the budget and the ruling party does that, right? They control the purse strings, so to speak. Hence the treasury. So where the ruling, in the assembly where the ruling party sits, that section is the treasury bench, and the other is the opposition bench. I don't think whether you can segregate it like that.
Yeah.
You cannot
How
pick
will
and
they?
choose. You cannot say that, okay, BJP is a partner, but only these MLAs are acceptable to me. I think he meant emotionally. Probably, right? Emotionally, we accept these two guys as valid BJP representatives. The other 10 guys,
I just remember GT Dhungal and M Prasad. वो लोग क्या है?
वो तो SKM है
SKM हो
ना.
गए
They're
ना
not
क्या?
BJP or SDF anymore. They obviously don't carry the tag, because when you enter SKM, I think your previous tag gets removed much better than when you join BJP.
All right. So to counter the next day BJP or on
The
one
BJP state unit,
the
yeah.
BJP state unit said, "Oh, I'm not doing a very good job of summing things up or whatever." Anyway,
These are confusing times.
yeah. So SKM said we are not getting the 10 SDF MLAs on the treasury bench. SDF switch overs to BJP into the treasury bench, and then the next day BJP state unit said that BJP treats all 12 of its MLAs equally.
Yeah. I mean, that's what else could they say?
Yeah.
What else could they say? I mean, for BJP, as far as BJP is concerned, all are BJP MLAs. There is nothing new in what he just said. He did not say that we will not become alliance partners if SKM does not give seating arrangement for the 10 guys as well. He didn't say that. All he said is that as far as we are concerned, all 12 are same. SKM never said that BJP does not consider them the same. SKM said we don't consider these 12 guys to be the same, right? But that's a clear indication there that whatever the state units might think or believe, it is the BJP High Command which will be calling the shots. And which is what the BJP said, right? Their big guns are coming down for the swearing in of the Chief Minister as an MLA, which is scheduled for the 4th of November. And when he comes down, even this association that SKM and BJP have will be formalized, given a name, so to speak.
Ram Madhav is supposed to.
Yeah, as is the other guy, the Nitin something.
And they also condemned allegations that the former CM Pawan Chamling had sent the 10.
They waited it out, right? This rumor has been making the rounds for a long time.
Suddenly,
but BJP is only now clarifying it. And didn't the rumors begin with one of their own MLAs making a statement on those lines? DT Lepcha saying something like that? And if you are BJP, of course you'll be offended. Like, BJP acquires these 10 MLAs. It would like to tell the world it is because of how brilliant BJP's ideology is, how popular BJP has become as a party among the people, instead of saying that we acquired them because Chamling let them go. Right? You cannot publicly admit to that.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice if they had said that much earlier.
So the BJP state unit had also said that it is the personal opinion of the SKM leader who said that about the 10.
He's a spokesperson. I don't think when he's speaking in a press conference, it
so
might be his personal
the
experience.
SKM leader he's referring, the BJP is referring to here is Jacob Khalling, the spokesperson for SKM party, who had said that we will not have the 10 SDF MLAs on the BJP in the treasury bench.
There are too many parties going around. So no, a spokesperson speaking at a press conference is not just speaking personal opinion. He is representing the party. So it might very well be just him thinking out loud. But as far as we are concerned, that is the party line. Of course, party lines are not written on stone in Sikkim, right? They switch, like, okay. But what this kind of suggests to me is that SKM as a party, or at least the SKM party cadre, is not very excited about the prospect of having the BJP become alliance partners. And rightfully so. They don't need them. They don't need the numbers. They don't need BJP.
But now they need them, no?
But they don't need them now.
No.
Yes.
After the deal was done just before the bypolls to
that does not mean need. That is desperation. No. God knows what the deal was, right? No one said that this is going to be an alliance government after this. BJP Sikkim is very clear that they want to be part of the government. And why won't you? You got 12 MLAs. You would want your people to be ministers. If they are ministers, they can do more work for the next elections rather than just as opposition MLAs, right? And in Sikkim, the MLAs don't really have much to do. So if you are BJP, you would want to be in the government, because if you're looking at the next elections, you want to influence policy. You can't really do that much by sitting in the opposition, and you'll be a lame duck opposition, right? Because you're also partners, but you're in opposition. I mean, who wants that kind of confusion? I mean, we have confusion keeping track of who's in root treasury and opposition. So as far as the state BJP is concerned, at least, they would be very keen to be part of the government. They would want their ministers, they would want some good portfolios, and they would want their MLAs to be able to do more work in their constituencies. If you're SKM, you'd not be interested because you don't need them. Why would you want to give away cabinet berths to another party, which just came by the way into the assembly, right? So, interesting. It will be very interesting how they negotiate that space.
All right. So looking forward to the next.
Like seriously, you're looking forward to all the confusion
Yes.
that's going to come?
Confusion, excitement,
Yeah.
drama. all
Yeah,
that.
but winters are also normally very dry times for even politics in Sikkim.
Nee, but now we should
They'll
expect.
probably keep it hot, yeah.
We should expect a flurry of transfers and.
Again, ho gaya transfer. Everybody who can be transferred has been
No,
transferred.
no, there's more to come, I'm sure.
No, I think there's no one left to transfer. I mean, they were working till midnight just transferring people.
No, no.
All these 5 months.
अब तो खुला हो गया ना हाथ और.
No, yeah, so maybe not. No, हाथ खुल गया था transfers के लिए तो. I guess for other things, they can now assert themselves more strongly. Yeah, that's true actually.
Yeah, we just hope nothing untoward happens.
Yeah, now क्या untoward? Everybody is ruling now, except one MLA. Soon, I mean, what is going to happen is that I think more SDF guys will be joining SKM, and SKM is going to have its hands full. What are they going to do with so many supporters? What are they going to do with so many MLAs? I mean, 19 is such a nice number. Like, they can become ministers by rotation and get done in 5 years, right? But now suddenly with 31, like,
I know.
and there are some big heavyweights in the BJP roster of MLAs, and who will want, because they obviously were influential in the crossover.
Yep.
They will want to be rewarded for that, and then SKM MLAs are all new first-time ministers. It's going to be really interesting. Yeah, it'll be like nice if you could smuggle in a dictaphone or something into their discussions.
Sting them. Anyway, all right. That's all the time we have